It was another intense showdown on the morning news circuit when Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu stepped in to defend Prince Harry and Meghan Markle against yet another verbal attack from Piers Morgan. The longtime critics of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex clashed once again, with Piers making his usual complaints about how Harry and Meghan had betrayed the royal family, accusing them of playing the victim while living in the lap of luxury. But Shola was having none of it. She started by pointing out the irony in Morgan's relentless criticism, given how Harry and Meghan have stepped away from the royal spotlight that Morgan claims they crave. Harry and Meghan left the UK to get away from this very type of toxic environment, she said sharply, staring Piers down. Yet you seem obsessed with tearing them down for choosing peace and privacy over a life that made them miserable. If anything, you should be thanking them for stepping back instead of constantly trying to pull them back in. Piers, predictably, did not back down. He tried to cut her off, claiming that Dr. Shola was missing the point about Harry and Meghan's privilege and suggested that they owe the public their silence if they're going to live so comfortably on a private estate in California. Are you serious? Dr. Shola retorted. Let me get this straight, a man who lost his mother to the pressures of the royal life, who watched as his wife was hounded in ways disturbingly similar, has chosen to protect his family. And you're upset because he's not parading his trauma for public consumption. Morgan tried to steer the conversation to freedom of speech, saying he has every right to criticize public figures, especially when they're hypocrites. But Shola doubled down, her voice unwavering. Criticizing is one thing, Piers, but you've turned it into a personal crusade, relentlessly attacking a young family that left the country to avoid people like you. Your obsession with them says more about you than it does about them. In a final mic drop moment, Shola pointed out that while Morgan may criticize them for seeking the spotlight, it's ironic that he seems to thrive off mentioning them at every opportunity. The segment ended with Piers, visibly ruffled, while Shola's supporters celebrated her for once again standing up to his relentless criticism of the couple. As the clip of Dr. Shola's bold takedown went viral, it became clear that many were fed up with the ongoing attacks on Harry and Meghan, and Dr. Shola had given voice to that frustration. It was a fiery exchange between Shola Mos-Shogbamimu and Piers Morgan on morning television, but this time, it seemed she'd finally struck a nerve. The conversation had started as a typical debate on Harry and Meghan's recent media moves and their ongoing quest for privacy. But as Dr. Shola passionately defended the couple, it became clear that this wasn't just another sparring match, it was personal. Dr. Shola called Piers out for what she saw as a years-long, personal vendetta against the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Piers, you've made it your life's work to bring down this couple, she said, her voice unwavering. Every time they try to build a life away from the toxic pressures of the British press, there you are, poking and prodding like they owe you something. Tell me, when does it end? For the first time in a long while, Piers seemed momentarily lost for words. He stammered, trying to brush off her comments, saying he was just doing his job, and that public figures like Harry and Meghan should expect scrutiny, but Shola wouldn't let him wriggle out of it. You're a journalist, yes, but where's the line between reporting and obsessing? How can you claim this is objective when you're so clearly invested in tearing them down? Piers tried to regain his footing, insisting that he was merely pointing out the hypocrisy of Harry and Meghan's public and private lives. But it was clear her words had rattled him. His tone was sharper, his usual smug expression replaced with irritation. He made several attempts to steer the conversation away from himself and back to the couple's actions, but Shola stayed focused, her questions aimed directly at Piers and his motivations. Your critique isn't just about public interest, Piers, she continued. It's about you needing them to stay relevant. Every time you mention Harry and Meghan, it's not about what they're doing, it's about keeping your own name in the headlines. Visibly frustrated, Piers lashed out, accusing Shola of trying to silence free speech. But this time, the usual defense felt hollow. Viewers noticed. Social media was flooded with comments applauding Shola's takedown, with many pointing out how rattled Piers had looked. As the interview wrapped, Piers left the set without his usual smirk. Dr. Shola's fans celebrated her for finally holding him accountable, while others speculated, had she really gotten under his skin this time? Or would this only fuel an even more intense wave of criticism from Morgan? The clip went viral, with millions sharing the video and debating whether Piers would finally pull back his relentless focus on Harry and Meghan, or if Dr. Shola's words would only drive him to new levels of fury. Either way, one thing was certain: this showdown was one no one would forget anytime soon. Piers Morgan has made a name for himself as one of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's harshest critics. But lately, his relentless pursuit of the Duke and Duchess has crossed a line, leaving even loyal viewers questioning his motives. It's one thing to critique public figures, but as Piers' obsession with the couple intensifies, many are left wondering, when does criticism turn into something darker, and why does Piers seem unable to let them live in peace? This time, Morgan's overstepping was especially clear. Following a new interview in which Harry and Meghan spoke about their struggles with the pressures of public life, Piers launched into a tirade on air, accusing them of whining from their mansion and seeking pity while living in privilege. He suggested that the couple owed the British public an explanation for their actions and implied that the departure from royal duties was selfish. But as Piers ramped up his attack, viewers were taken aback by his fixation on details that seemed unnecessarily personal. He questioned their parenting choices, insinuated that Meghan was controlling Harry, and even made disparaging remarks about their new home in California. It was clear he wasn't just critiquing their public behavior, he was digging into the private lives in a way that felt invasive and unsettling. Social media erupted with backlash, accusing Piers of crossing ethical lines and showing a clear double standard. "He's taken this way too far," read one popular tweet. "Criticizing them for public actions is one thing, but what gives him the right to drag their family life through the mud?" Mental health advocates also voiced concerns, reminding the public of the vulnerability Harry has shown when discussing the mental toll of public scrutiny, especially given his mother's tragic experience with the press. Many pointed out the disturbing irony that while Piers claims to critique the couple for seeking attention, he is the one who brings them up relentlessly, often unprovoked. One fan of the show remarked, "It's like he needs them to stay relevant. He's forgotten that there's a line between accountability and outright harassment." Despite the criticism, Piers has refused to back down. When asked why he was so fixated on Harry and Meghan, he dismissed the question, claiming that he was simply holding them accountable for their choices. But the general sentiment is clear: his refusal to let them live their lives without relentless interference has gone from mere annoyance to a disturbing obsession. For many, Piers' behavior has sparked a larger conversation about the role of the media and the responsibility journalists have to exercise restraint. Critics argue that his behavior serves as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked media power, and the very real harm it can cause when boundaries are ignored. The fallout has left a mark. Viewers are increasingly vocal in their support for Harry and Meghan, and Morgan's continued attacks are drawing as much criticism for him as they are for the couple. Some speculate that Piers may finally be forced to step back from this vendetta, as the pressure mounts for him to recognize that enough is enough. But for now, the line between journalism and obsession has been crossed, and Morgan's inability to stop could cost him more than just his credibility. It could also cost him the trust of his audience.